Hello, gorgeous. Welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the makeup mistakes that I've been making recently and how I've been trying to fix them. And I really wanted to do this video to just point them out. I feel like they are somewhat common mistakes when we're doing our makeup, and really, I don't even want to call them that because baby, there's no wrong way to do your makeup. I've said it before and I'll say it again, but I feel like these are common places like where we get frustrated when it's not working out, you know what I mean? So one of the major mistakes that I was making was using way too much concealer and powder. Girl, you don't need much concealer at all, especially if you're like me and you use like something that is much lighter than your skin tone slash foundation, and especially with like heavy formulas like my BH Cosmetics Studio Pro. And then to like kind of set that, I would just throw a ton of banana powder on there. But I swear to you, like once I stopped using so much, I feel like it creases less, so I need less powder. And now my concealer's not like super patchy and it's blending in like fairly naturally. And on top of that, since I already did my concealer this morning, I will throw up a picture somewhere around here as to how much concealer I've been using recently, and it's very, very little. So I'll give you just a second to check that out wherever I put it. Alright, gorgeous. The next makeup mistake that I feel like I was making was putting my bronzer on too low and too long. And I feel like with my kind of long, skinny face, I feel like that just makes my face look way longer and just, I wasn't liking it. So I highly recommend kind of starting at the way back and then blending it forward a little bit, but don't come all the way down to the end of your cheeks. You know, I won't even lie, I feel somewhat odd doing one of these videos because I hate makeup do and don't videos, and I'll tell you why. So, like, I feel like nobody really has the right to presume how to tell you how to do your makeup, or that you're doing it wrong and that they're doing it right. So that's kind of why I was focusing on the little oopsies that I felt like I was making with my makeup. This one, girl, is my blush. I was putting my blush like way too far up and way too far down, and I couldn't figure out what was going on with my cheeks a couple weeks ago, and I realized when I got to the bathroom, I just had like a giant circle of blush. And that's kind of my own fault because I love me a nice, bright, beautiful blush cheek, but it wasn't working out, you know what I mean? So I recommend kind of taking a couple of fingers and just noting where that ends from the end of your nose here to your cheekbone, and kind of starting a little bit before that. Oh, I forget. This blush is so pigmented. This is the Emmy New York that I got in my Lola Beauty box a while back. And girl, you don't need much. I mean, And instead of like pulling it all the way down and all the way up, I've kind of just been moving in a line a little bit, and then at the end just kind of blending it out, buffering it out. That's the word that I was looking for. Whew. Right, lovely. And the next one is my highlighter. Honey, I didn't even know that my highlighter could look muddy, and it did. That's how it looked. It was just I wasn't digging it, and I couldn't figure out what was going on for a little bit there, but I realized that I was putting on like way too much for the look that I was trying to achieve. So I've been going in with my little fan brush. I'm going to use my pretty purple highlighter today, and I've just been kind of like brushing it on just like that. And it looks a little less intense, but you can definitely build it up. But instead of just using like a super, kind of like a thick brush, and I think that was part of the problem. I was using too big of a brush and putting way too much product on it at that. I don't really think the brush matters too much, but I do know if you feel like you're using too much highlighter, you can go in with a fan brush and get a much more toned down highlight. And I think it still looks nice, but it's not like a super giant like stripe going down my face. And it just wasn't blending well, and even with setting spray, it still was just like a rectangle right there. I wasn't having it. And I think partially it was because I really like my highlighter to kind of do the alligator face, you know what I mean? But I was just taking that brush and it was just going, it was too much, baby. So I've been toning it down a little bit. I think I'm going to put green on my face now. Just a little bit and a little line. And I think that works out so much better for me, honestly. Girl, these highlighters are super blinding, and I've got 4 different colors of highlight on my face. Ooh, I'm digging it. Alright, next up, girl, it's time for us to talk about my brows. So I know that they've been getting, it seems like they've been getting like worse and worse lately, and I realized why. So number one, my brows are messed up to begin with. It's like 2 giant circles right in the middle there, and then they're kind of like long and they're just there. And I think part of that is because I've got such a prominent brow bone, and I think I'm gonna go for a more natural brow shape because baby, I know we all want that Instagram glam eyebrow. You know what I'm talking about, the perfect ones that are just super cut and they got the perfect tail and they're perfect. But with everybody having like a different brow bone shape and a different natural brow shape, I think it's really hard for everybody to achieve that look. I mean, I'm going to be using the Brow Food brow powder and pencil duo that I got in my Influencer Vox box a while back. Actually, I've been really liking this a lot, even though this is a little bit small, and it's hard to maneuver sometimes. It's still it's a really nice brow product. And because my brows start so low, I'm going to start kind of down here and a little bit lower than what I've been doing. And a little bit more round too. And then instead of just like making an outline up top, I'm going to kind of go at the starting point and pull it on up and do kind of like a rainbow shape, you know what I mean? Like a half moon. And that way I can really find like where my brow bone is, you know. And while they aren't perfect, honey, when are they ever? You know what I mean? But even though they're not perfect, I feel more comfortable with my brows right now than I have pretty much the last couple of months because I've just been fighting so hard to get that perfect shape, and I know it's not like that perfect, you know, little tail or whatever, but I feel so much more comfortable. Really, when it comes to makeup, baby, it's all about comfort and feeling good about yourself. And if if it's just not working for you, find something that does. Once you're comfortable with it, and I feel so much more confident. So I'm going to show you is with my eyes. So number one, I don't know if it was too much eye primer or I just simply wasn't letting it dry down long enough because when it comes to primer, it's best to let it sit for like a solid minute or two, up to 5, to kind of let it do its thing, soak in, dry down just a little bit, and like even face primer and stuff. And I feel like it just does a better job that way. So I don't know what I was doing wrong there, but I was getting like really patchy mattes no matter how light-handed I was going in, no matter the color, it was just coming up patchy. On top of that, girl, I learned a hack from one of my beauty sisters out there. I want to give a shout out to my girl, Sammy. She was one of my very first viewers and subscribers, and I love her to death. She is such a sweet lady, and if I get a chance today when I upload this, I will actually link to her channel at the end of my video where I usually have my little picture. I'll put hers up there too because Mwah. Love you, girl. But anyways, she showed me a hack, and you can go in with some translucent powder first as well. Instead of using like one of your more skin tone colors to set your primer, just use a little bit of translucent powder to set it. And it doesn't really leave much of like a color. It does brighten a little bit, but it sets everything, and that way you can go in with your first transition color much easier. And I have found and since my blender doesn't really have like a sharp angle on it, I've been using this kind of like a thicker like angled liner brush from the BH Cosmetics Lavish set. Girl, I love these brushes. If you haven't, you need to get a hold of some BH Cosmetics brushes because they're like a fraction of the price of most higher end brushes out there, and they are fabulous. But this really helps keep my shadow in line. And not only that, you do have to like reapply it throughout because I tend to go over the edge, girl. We all know it, and I love you for not saying anything. But since I do that, I do have to reapply it a couple of times throughout doing my eyeshadow, but it really does help. So generally, especially like when I'm trying to rush through something, I only use like two colors in my crease to brow bone area. But honestly, I highly recommend if you can, go in with three to four and it will give you that more professional, deep look, and like you can get a better blend out of it, and it looks so much better that way on my face, in my opinion. And not only that, I wasn't blending as much as I should have been, I'll admit. While I'm at it, while I'm just going at myself today, I will just admit it, I was not blending as much as I should. And I know that is wrong because I'm always on y'all about blending, but girl, I'm working on it. Another good point to make today is that makeup is always a learning experience, and it's always going to be. I'm constantly learning from my mistakes. I'm constantly making mistakes. I'm constantly trying to figure it out. Like, and I know like the big beauty guru channels and what have you, they do the same thing. They're always constantly learning. Their techniques are constantly changing. If you don't believe me, go back to one of their earlier videos, check out one of their midway videos, if you will, and then check out a video from, recently, and you will see it changes. It's not just their look. They didn't just change their hair, way that they do their makeup changes. And I think that's true for everybody, that we are constantly learning. So if something's not going the way that you want it to, girl, don't worry, you will get there. I promise. All right, baby. So in the interest of time, as you can see, I just kind of threw a little something on there, and I did, I think, 4 or 5 transition shades for the mattes, and I feel like it turned out so much better than what my looks have been lately. And I kind of applied the same logic to my under eye area, and instead of going in with one really light color and one really dark, as I normally would, girl, I took 3 different shades and kind of blended them together a little bit along the way, and I'm digging it. I'm digging it. And I just feel like I have less raccoon eye going on, you know what I mean? So the last thing that I do want to talk about is the wings, and I figured out what I was doing wrong personally. So generally, since my eyeshadow goes so far down, I've been making that line kind of flat. I'm not pointing the line up high enough, and a really good kind of measurement to go by is the bottom of your brow and just kind of pointing that wing right up there. And I couldn't figure it out for like months. I got it, girl. I got it. Alright, girl, so I did my line a little bit thicker than I wanted to, but when is it ever perfect? Wings and brows, am I right? Alright, beautiful. That is it for today. Please let me know what you think down in the comments of my little makeup mistakes video and if I should do one of these again in the future. I kind of had some fun with it. But in the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and go out and spread some love and positivity today because baby, we could all use some extra. But for now, you're beautiful and I love you. Mwah. Bye, everyone.